Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday afternoon, the 13th of February, the day before Valentine's Day. So that's pretty nice, isn't it? Not that we really do Valentine's Day here in Australia, but some people do. I think if you're a florist or a restaurant, Valentine's Day is a big deal. But otherwise, I think most people don't pay a lot of attention. What do you guys think? How are we all? Hello, Jeb. Nice to see you. Hi, Margaret. Hello, Shirley. How's everything going? Hello, Janine. Not too late tonight, I hope. I'm an hour later than usual. I had my stamp club, which normally is at the end of the month, and last month they couldn't make it. No one could make it on the usual day, so we postponed it to today, and that just meant that I could do it. I just had to make my technique video a little bit later in the day. So I hope it's not too late for people. Hello, Jen. Nice to see you, Marie. Hi there. Hello, Kathy from San Diego. Hello, everybody. Oh, and Margaret, you have a friend watching with you today. Welcome. Is it Ernia? Is that right? I hope you enjoy our video today. Excited to see what I have for you today. Well, I'm going back to something old today, something really old, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use it. And I'm sure it will be new for somebody. I'll show you in just a minute. Anyone want to guess what the old thing is that I'm going to do? It's an old product, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use it. Okay, we have Glenda. Hi, Cindy. Nice to see you. Hey, Nicole. I believe you've been having some very hot weather over there. It's 32 here today, so it's warm, but not crazy. Not crazy. Not too crazy warm. Hi, Rhonda. Nice to see you. You're in your craft room, Cindy. The best place to be. Making cards. Woohoo. You're staying up to watch. Thank you so much, Janine. I really appreciate that. I hope you don't fall asleep in class tomorrow. Yes. Mind you, the students probably wouldn't mind if that happens, right? If the teacher goes to sleep, they get kind of a free pass. It's not going to be good for their learning, though. Oh, no, you didn't miss it, Chris. I'm a little bit later today. I had to reschedule to a later time just because I had a class here in my home studio earlier today, and I knew it might go over time, and it did a little bit, but not too bad. You're old. No, you're not. You're not old. Who's old? Goodness me. Old is a state of mind, guys. How are you, Marlene? Nice to see you. Oh, yay. How long did it take for your package to get from Colorado to Australia, Janine? I'm very curious to know that. And you had a nap while you were waiting. That's a good use of time, Shirley. Excellent. We love that. It would be a little embarrassing to fall asleep in class if you're the teacher. 34 degrees in Sydney. Yeah, we're up the coast an hour, about an hour and a half from Sydney, and it's 32 here. So close, but a little bit cooler. Hey, Katrina, nice to see you. They still have to do the work. Yes, college students, of course. It's not like little ones. Yes, age is just a number. Thank you for that support, Glenda. I agree. It is just a number. Who cares? Let's all just live our lives and not worry about age. That's a silly thing because you can't change it, right? Can't change it. It took a month to get from Colorado to Australia because it's the 13th here today. So there you go. Almost exactly a month. Yes, that's about the same here, Nicole. So there you go. All right, let's get started, shall we? I will switch over to the desk, and as usual, I've got my reminder catalogues here on the desk so I don't forget to tell you what the deal is. It is our mini catalogue running at the moment, this one, although the product I'm going to use today is not in this catalogue. It's in our annual catalogue and has been for many years. You can tell them, Leslie, if you like, and then, you know, I don't know how that will work, but you can tell them. Hey, Patricia. All right, so, oh, hello, Anne. Nice to see you there. All right, so celebration is still happening. And let me just find it. Oh, here it is on my desk. Some of you may or may not be aware that Stampin' Up brought out some extra celebration items. Okay, so these are actually catalogue items that they've released as freebies, like a gift with purchase. If you are, though, this is really important. If you're choosing something from here, so the other day, there was nothing extra in here that I wanted, so I got this Botanical Layers cling stamp. This is actually in the annual catalogue. Can you see it close enough? Okay, I got that one there. And I didn't have that, and I thought, yeah, I'll get that. I have no way of knowing if it's going to continue into the next annual catalogue. It might get retired, in which case I'll just be glad that I got it for free, because you don't want to be spending a lot of money on stuff this close to the end of the catalogue, right? not as a demonstrator anyway. But I decided to get this because if it does go into the new catalogue, then I've got another year of use for it. You know, that would be awesome. Probably the best deal things in this list are this Delightfully Eclectic paper. This retails in Australia for $53 and it's free with a $90 order. So that is a really good deal. It's 48 sheets of paper. And I'm thinking they must have maybe they have extras of this paper, because that's why they put it up as a celebration item, maybe. I don't know, but that's just my guess. The other thing that I think is really, really good value on here is the new core colors. Now, this is a higher level value one, so that means you would have to spend $180 here in Australia to get this pack, but it's really good. And the reason it's really good is it is one of each of all the new colors that were introduced when the last annual catalogue came out. So not the in colors, but all the new colors that were introduced to the core color collection. So colors like Lemon Lolly and Bubble Bath and Pecan Pie and Azure Afternoon, those colors were introduced new last year when we had a color update. Okay, color updates usually happen about every 5-ish years, and so it's important that if we have inks for these, it's really handy to get the new core colors in the markers as well. Okay, now I am going to do marker techniques one of these Technique Tuesdays, but markers, these are the Stampin' Write markers, which means it's the same ink that's in an ink pad, but it's just in a portable marker form. Okay, so it's still the same kind of ink. Blends are a different kind of ink. Blends are alcohol-based ink, so those are different, but these ones are Stampin' Write markers which have water-based ink, the same as what's in an ink pad, okay, in a classic ink pad. The reason that this is good too is because we don't sell markers individually, okay? So if you are wanting to get colors to match the new colors that came out last year without having to buy the color families, okay? You don't have to buy the subtles to get the new subtle colors, and you don't have to buy the brights. You can just get this. Now you can buy it here in Australia. I believe I'm hoping I've got this right, $68 or $68 something. And that's important because it's free with a $180 order. So if you are putting through a $180 order and you don't have these, I would say that would be a really good thing to get. You got those and they're good. Excellent, Leslie. That's what we like to know. Oh, you put in a big order tonight, did you, Janine? Ah, very good. Well, that's what I'm talking about, those markers right now. And I think they're a really good thing for anyone who doesn't have them. They're a really good deal. Okay, and I think that's a great way to go. You have all the markers and you're going to give them to a friend, Leslie. Oh, don't give them to a friend before I show you some really cool things you can do with them. I love my markers. I think markers are fantastic, and I particularly love the direct to rubber technique. I just think that that's one of the best technique with the markers, and you can get some really lovely effects. So that's just my 2 cents, but I think they're definitely worth having for sure. All right, let me move that out of the way, and then I'm going to move these out of the way, and we're going to look at the annual catalogue. So nobody has guessed yet what item that I'm going to use today, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use them. You will find them in the annual catalogue on page 137. So anyone got a clue yet what I'm going to play with? Something that's been around for a really, really long time. And I think most people forget about them these days. Marie says you've ordered markers as you don't have any. It's a good way to try them out. Absolutely. Yep, definitely. And Gina says she's got all the Stampin' Blends. I still don't have all the Stampin' Blends, but I did go and sort mine out the other day, and now I know what I need to get. And I've actually, in this particular catalogue, I have So I had a friend help me go through them, and you can see all the ticks and things. Okay, so if there's a tick, I've got it. If there's no tick, I don't have it. And if there's an asterisk, like there's some asterisks down here, if there's an asterisk, then that means I've got them, but they're not in very good shape, and I probably should replace them. So I need to replace the Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie ones. Those are really, really bad. And I couldn't use them for a class or anything like that because basically somebody has, when they've used them, has used the brush ends really pushed too hard and has destroyed the brush end. So the brush end is all fluffy. You can't color nicely with it. So that's the reason that I've got asterisks on those. So there you go. So I have got quite a few, as you can see, but there's also some gaps. So I don't have these three here, and I don't have Sweet Sorbet, and I probably won't get it now because we're so close to these items retiring. Yes, I'm going to say it again. If you have any of the ink pads in the Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, or Orchid Oasis set, which is the 22 to 24 ink colors. If you have those inks, please make sure you have the matching re-inkers so they will last you for years. You're right, Patricia. Correct. Yep, we're going to use blender pens today. And please, if you're thinking, oh, really? Blender pens, what can we do with those? I'm going to show you, I think, some really cool things you can do with them. I'm going to show you 3 different things I like to do with mine. So Patricia guessed right. Patricia guessed blender pens, and that is correct. Glenda suggested daubers, which is probably a good one for another day. I go through daubers like you wouldn't believe. Margaret's got them all. Of course you do, Margaret. Yep, Marie is also correct. Marie said blender pens as well. Asterix is hard to say. Do you guys remember there used to be a cartoon about a Viking called Asterix, a cute little Viking? I think was it Asterix? I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, hey Cheryl, nice to see you. You need to order the re-inkers and paper in those colors exactly. So don't leave it to next month. So when the retiring list comes out is, I don't know whether they've actually released that information yet, but I'm going to think it's going to be somewhere around about the same time as On Stage, because On Stage is when the new catalogs come out to the demonstrators who are attending On Stage. So everyone's going to know after that what items are going to be staying. So it makes sense that the retired list will probably come out right around that time. That's my guess. I can confirm that for you over the next week or two, but that is what I think. So you just ordered the outgoing in-color blends before they go. There you go. Yep, there you go. He was a Gaul. That's what it was, Anne. Thank you so much. I remember that. Yes. But he wore a hat like a Viking hat. Do you guys remember that? Or Obelisk or whatever his mate wore one, I think. I can't remember. I remember the cartoon. I used to love them in the library. I used to go and read them in the library. So you just got some blender pens today. Yay. All right. So can I please tell you that blender pens and blends and blending brushes are all completely different things. Okay. Okay. So Janine's saying, yes, the Viking was Asterix, though you've not seen it. Likely confuses the pronunciation of Asterix. I agree. Yes. Yes, that's right, Marie. We remember, and Obelix was his friend, right? Is that right? Isn't it funny the things you remember? Anyway, there you go. All right, so I think I was getting the Vikings mixed up because of the horned helmets, but you are correct. Right, so these are blender pens, guys. Anyone not seen these before or not noticed them in the catalogue? I'm thinking that a lot of people have never seen how to use them. Once upon a time, they used to come in the prescribed demonstrator kit. So when I first became a demonstrator, I got a kit. I didn't get to choose what was in my kit, although I could substitute stamp sets and I could substitute colors, but you had to have I think it was 5 stamp sets, and they were the old rubber ones that we had to cut up the rubber ourselves to actually stick them on the blocks, the wooden blocks. Remember this? And then there was 5 ink pads. There was a whole bunch of different things. There was a pack of chalks. Do you remember what did they call them? They called them, I can't remember what we called those. Something pastels? No, I don't remember what we called them. Somebody might remember. But I had all of that stuff. But I chose the brights because you could choose which color family was in your kit. And I chose the brights. But blender pens were back in our kits, even in those days. Okay. You've never used them or seen them used in person, just on video. Well, there you go. You're going to see it on video again today. And I hope that maybe I'll show you something you can do with them that you didn't know about. In Australia, these retail for $23. They are double-ended, so there's a pen on each end, okay? And there are 3 in a pack, right? It says right there, set of 3, okay? It says for blending chalks and water-based inks, all right? Now, I think you can do more with them than just that. I'm going to show you a couple of other things today apart from either of those things. We also have in our catalogue here, over this page, the soft pastels assortment. You can use these with the soft pastels assortment because those are a type of chalk, basically. And I would suggest that if you are going to get the soft pastels, you'll definitely want to have blender pens as well. Okay, but I'm not using I'm not using chalks today, but I am going to use a couple of other things, and I wanted to show them to you. So there you go. Those were the days, I know, right? Mounting red rubber onto wood blocks, chalk pastels, and blending pens. Yep, we did all those things way back when. All right, so I'm going to show you 3 ways. The first way, I'm going to start with I've got a piece of vanilla cardstock here. This is very vanilla, just the thin, not the thick stuff, just the normal. I'm going to use my early espresso pad, but I could also do it with Memento. You don't have to use early espresso if you don't want to. And I'm going to use my E-block, and I'm going to use this beautiful stamp from the Lovely and Sweet set. Okay, so it's going to be this is actually going to be bigger than my piece here. I'm not worried about that. That's fine. Actually, I might use this stamp a couple of times today. I actually have a class tomorrow with watercolor pencils, and using watercolor pencils is the first of the techniques that we're going to do, because the blender pens work great with watercolor pencils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, remember we did watercolor pencils a couple of weeks ago, and I used, just on basic white cardstock, I used watercolor pencils and then water to move the pigment around. I've inked this up. I'm going to pop this. I don't want to have the word on there. I'm just going to put the whole thing right across so that my flowers are in the middle there, kind of. And we're covering the whole thing and going over the edge, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Right, can you see there? This is just a little sample size. I'm going to wipe my glass mat off because I went over the edges a little bit, and that's fine. It's a nice stamp, this, isn't it? It's from the Lovely and Sweet stamp set, which is in the mini catalogue, and it's super cute. All right. They have released this year, because we had that color change that I've talked about earlier, the new watercolor pencils assortment 1 is actually new. If you look it up, let me just quickly go back to that page. All right. So in the watercolor pencils, we have assortment 1 and assortment 2. Okay, assortment 1 has a little red or a little pink N next to it. Can you see the N? What? Where is it? There. There it is. Assortment 1 with a little pink N. That is telling you that that is new. Okay. Now, some of the colors in the watercolor set, number 1, are not new. Some of them are. And that's because some of the colors that were in the previous assortment 1 retired. So they had to bring out a new assortment with the new colors in it. That's all. It just got replaced. So I'm going to, I can smell food cooking. I hope it's cooking and not burning in the kitchen. My son is up, obviously, getting himself something to eat. So, and yes, I did say up. He was up until 5 o'clock this morning sorting Lego because he's getting ready to move out, and he actually is sorting Lego into color-specific bags for different projects. It's a big job, but I'm glad he's starting now. All right. I'm just reading to see if I've missed any comments. Purple rubber stamps were the free stamps. Celebration and host sets, Nicole. They were there were free host sets that were also on purple rubber. Remember those? Oh, that's okay. I'm a little bit later today, Marty. I'm 3 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock Sydney time, only because I had a class earlier, so I had to push it back. Purple rubber, yeah. So yes, it was the freebies. They were host sets. There we go. Tell you what, I for anyone, I might put it up again because if I can find it, I had a video of me in the stamp factory back in, like, the manufacturing plant back in 2013. We actually got to die cut some of the sets and see how the die cutting machines. We got to do it ourselves, which is super fun. I have a video of that, and if I can find it, I'll post it in the VIP group. So if anyone would like to see that, that's where it will be. So I'm going to I'm just going to pull out a couple of colors that I want to use in this. So we've got Old Olive. Where is Old Olive? Why can I not see that? I think, is that it? It's out of order. No, that's Basic Gray. Come on. I've got Pecan Pie. Definitely going to use that one. This might be it. Old Olive. There we go. And Fresh Freesia, I think, maybe for the flowers. And Melon Mambo is also in there, so maybe I'll mix those two together. That might be nice. So let's start with these. That looks like a good place to start. And I'm going to, I think I'll start with the Pecan Pie, and we'll do some of the stems first. And I'm just going to go over. Now, I'm not being particularly careful. I'm just going to run over it. Whether or not I come back and do anything with these, it won't really matter because it's such a fine, tiny part of it anyway. But the leaves, definitely. Okay, so I'm actually going to add quite a bit of colour just down in the middle of the leaves here. And I'm laying it down fairly thickly. Okay, and I'm just not even bothering to colour the whole thing. When we did the watercolour and we added water to this, we did a very similar thing with our leaves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of our blender pens. Now, blender pens do not have water in them, okay? Blender pens have a glycerin solution. So when you actually use the end of the pen, so this is a brand new, nice, clean one, okay, I can feel when I rub this over the back of my hand, it feels cool. And it's not actually wet, but you can feel, it almost feels like something damp went over your skin. Okay, I always run it on the back of my hand to see if you feel nothing, you don't have any cold feeling, cool feeling after you've done that, it's probably dried out. Okay, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick up the pigment, and it is going to spread, the glycerin solution is going to spread without adding any water, and it's going to go nicely and color in the rest of my leaf. Okay, so I'm going to do this with all my leaves, and it's a really simple little technique, but the glycerin solution is going to spread it out for you. I think they're good value. You get 3 in a pack. Really handy little things, and I can, you know, move that around as much as I like. So you can see it, and I've got a bit of green now on this, but it's no big deal. I could actually keep going because you can see there's still green on my brush here, but I'm actually going to do what I did before, and I'm going to add some extra color. And let's do the same with these leaves. As far as keeping them sharp, you just use a pencil sharpener. Just any old pencil sharpener is fine. So you don't need a special tool or anything like that. And I'm just being really rough, adding some color in the middle. And then I'm going to go back in with my brush, and I'm going to move that color out. Sorry, my brush. It's not a brush, it's pen. It's not a brush. So blending brushes are literally a bristle brush, like a makeup brush, that are wonderful for spreading color over a big background or, you know, a larger area. These are great for doing fine detail work. Okay, so if you want to color something in and it's small, this is a really great way. So here I'm using them with watercolor pencils, but you can use them with other things too, and I'm going to show you those as well. Tell me, let's have a show of hands. Who has, yes, you have blending brushes, or no, you don't? Sorry, blending pens, blender pens. What am I saying? So I'd love to hear who has blender pens or who does not. And you can see how nicely this colors. and just spreads that color around. You don't have them, Joan? They're a handy thing to add to an order if ever you're trying to get it up to that $90 mark to get a free thing. You have them, Anne. You like them, Gina. I do too. I do use them quite a bit myself, but I haven't used them as much. Since we had blends, I haven't used them as much. So I'm doing, these are actually almonds, I believe. I think we worked that out in a previous, and I'm just adding a little bit of color here. This is pecan pie, which seems appropriate. They're not pecans, but still, you know what I mean. Now you can use, once you have used, you can see this end has green on it. This has green. I can use the other end to do the brown. If I wanted to use the same end, all I need to do is grab a piece of scrap paper, okay, and run that green end, and I'm just going to turn my pen and keep running it on that until it comes clear, and then I can pick up another color. It's like it's new again, okay? So once you've used it for a particular color, you can then pick up a different color just by cleaning the first end, just by running it on some scrap paper. So easy to clean. You don't have to worry about them. So I'm using the pecan, same end as I did before. I'm doing pecan pie. All right, so we're getting close now. Also, there's a little bit here that could be pecan pie. I've still got some pecan pie on my brush, on my pen, so I'm just going to color in a little bit extra with that. All right, liking that. And then I'm going to get rid of that and use the same end, or I could turn it around and use the other end. So you can see it starts to come clean. Sometimes you have to turn it around a few times to get all of the color off. But as you can see, it's clear now, so it's ready to use with a different color. So I'm thinking I might go with the Melon Mambo here in the middle of my flowers. And maybe I'm going to add some, on the edge of that, I'm going to add some fresh freesia, because I think those would look nice together. And once again, I'm just laying down some color. These are a really, really good coloring tool. You could just leave it like that if you want to, because it really looks good. But I'm actually just going to come in with my blender pen, and I'm going to blend those two together and make them come all the way to the outside. And so we have something somewhere in between Melon Mambo and Fresh Freesia, because the two have been combined. There we go, like so. You have the blender pens. You just have to find them. Yes, I understand. Now, on my original one of these I actually added some Coastal Cabana sort of in behind some of this. I don't know that I'll do that today, because I'd like to move on and show you something different. But let me just see if I have, where do I have? I think I'm going to use a piece of Mossy Meadow behind. Mossy Meadow looks rather good. The Old Olive is like a lighter version of Mossy Meadow, but I think they are quite close. So let me grab my trimmer. I'm going to cut this piece down, and this is going to be actually 2.5 by 3.5. I make some pieces that are this size because I give all my girls, when they come to a technique class, I give them like a plastic sleeve, like the one they put the, you know, cards, kids playing cards like Pokemon cards or softball cards or anything like that. I put them into that. And you could put dimensionals behind these. I don't know that I'm bothered at the moment. Oh, hang on. What will I do? Have I got... I'm just going to grab a Tombow that's actually got some Tombow in it. I just used it for a class and used up the Tombow that I was using. So I'm just going to pop that on the back here. I love using it with watercolor pencils, Gina. I think it's a really nice way to use them because it spreads them really smooth, especially on basic white or very vanilla, because that's really smooth cardstock and it's really nice to use. So And you don't have to be clever at colouring. You know, you can use your blender pens just to move that colour around, and it gives you such a nice effect. Doesn't that look good? So there you go. I would definitely, yeah, the glycerin is in the pens. That's correct. That's right. So they're a really good little tool. Did Janine say something? Sweet almond is the kind you can eat. That's right. Yeah, that's very right. See, we're learning stuff today, right? All right, happy with that? All right, next one I want to show you. I'm thinking I might, actually, let me think. I just had a piece of basic white. This is basic white thick, but the basic white that I just had for a scrap, this is a scrap, I'm going to use with this one. Okay, we've got the oranges here that say it's a good day to have a good day, which I really like. And then there's a happy birthday here with a birdie. Which one will we have? Maybe it's a good day one. I like the good day. So let's have that. So I'm going to put this onto a block. And I'm going to color it with Night of Navy ink. And this time we're actually not going to use watercolor pencils. This time we're going to use inks. And I'm going to show you how to use your blender pens with ink pads. All right, very easy to do. Super, super simple. All right, so I'm going to use a block. Let me grab. I need to buy some more blocks. I seem to have had a few blocks disappear lately, and I think I need to buy some more. I've got D blocks, I've got plenty of, but I'm thinking like smaller blocks. This will do for now. All right. So this time I want to use inks, and this is my favorite way to use inks with blender pens. I'm going to use some pumpkin pie. These are going to be oranges, so I'm going to use some pumpkin pie. I'm just going to pop it right here on my block. Right, so I've got some color right there. And I'm going to grab my blender pen, okay, and I'm going to pick up some colors straight off the block, and then I'm going to just color with it. So, I mean, this is very simple. This is the simplest of all the different ways. Now, as we color, you'll see it's getting lighter, which kind of looks good. So you've got, you know, dark at one end and light at the other. I probably should have done it dark at the bottom, and never mind. That's fine. We'll just continue with that, seeing as that's how we started out. And then as we get down, it gets lighter, which sort of looks good. And now I'm going to do the same with the leaves. You can see, so if you don't have markers, this is a really great way, a very inexpensive way of coloring, all right? So this now has orange on it, as you can see, and I'm doing the same thing as I did before. There's more ink on this than there was with the color pencils. So I need to turn it and probably do a little bit longer, but as you can see, it's starting to come clearer now. And then when we get almost no color, that's when it's completely clean and we can pick up a different color. All right, so let me clean this off. So if you're looking, if you don't have all the markers, but you have a good number of ink pads, blender pens could be your way around needing to have as many markers. So that could be a good go for you. I'm going to use a bit of shaded spruce, and I'm going to pick up some color from there. You can take it straight from the ink pads, but I find this is a better way to go. I'm actually coloring in several of these because I want to then have it lighter out on the ends. You can see how easy this is to do. So very simple coloring with your blender pens, just using ink, an ink pad, and a pen. And I personally think that basic white or vanilla are your best surfaces to work on because they're so smooth. Excuse me. And And I'm thinking I might do, what color we'll do our little tiny flowers? Will we do them yellow? Would that be good? Or a different color? I could go with daffodil, or I could go crushed curry. What do you guys think? You've used blender pen with ink from block, not with pencils. Okay, yep. So these are just two different ways you can do it. And I'm going to show you one more way when this is done. Very easy. Oh, it's stormy down there, is it, Susan? Huh. Well, there you go. Daffodil, curry, says Gina. Oh, Gina was first. And I've just put daffodil on my block. Gina, do you mind if we use daffodil? At least it's close, right? I'm just going to get that green off the pen here. You can see it's getting clean. And I'm going to pick up some yellow. And we're going to just colour in our little flowers. Here we go. All right, very simple. Now, if I was doing this on a, if I wanted to have this as a separate, I hope everyone realizes we have a punch that matches this, right? The modern oval punch, which is this one right here. And it works beautifully with this set. So you can bring that in and punch that out like so. And you have that to use on a piece. And if you wanted to, you can also, you know, have this stamped again on a piece of white or whatever color you want, and then lift it up so this is up on dimensionals and it sits up inside, which I really like. I really, really like this stamp set. I think it's a really fun, happy set. Daffodil's good too. Yay. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't want to disappoint you that I ended up choosing a color and then you ended up being the first person. All right. So let's do one more type thing. Now there are probably, I mean, like I said, we can use pastels. There are other things you can do with blender pens, but I'm just showing you 3 today because I think that that's probably all we have time for, and you know, maybe we do a different one down the track a different time. So I'm just going to clean off these stamps, and then I am going to, oops, I just did it on the wrong side, but oh well, it doesn't really matter. All right, we're going to bring in this stamp that we used before once again, but I'm going to do it on a different surface this time. All right, so I've got my lovely and sweet stamp on here again with the almonds, which is really nice. Actually, I'm thinking I could have also done the vanilla. The vanilla is really pretty. It's smaller though, but I'm going to do this on a piece of crumb cake. That's the right side. And I'm going to use my early espresso ink pad again, which is back over here. You hear all the buses outside. It's that time where they're dropping kids home from school. So we've got the public bus that just went past, and then the school bus went the other way. So 2 buses at the same time. Right, so I've got my early espresso ink done, and I'm lining this up so that my my words are relatively straight-ish. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Pastels with clear embossing ink. Actually, I don't think I have. That's a very good question and something I should try. All right, so I've gone on to crumb cake this time. And I'm going to use, somebody's probably going to guess it, I'm going to use my favorite medium, okay? Who wants to guess what that is? I'm going to clean this off first because it's still got plenty of yellow on it. Oh, good. That sounds good. That's so cool, Margaret. Well, hopefully we'll see her again. All All right, I'm going to use one that I've actually used for this before because I have some that are still, you know, wet, but this one has been used for white ink before, and Glenda is completely correct. Okay, so I'm going to go with white ink on here. I'm going to bring my white ink pad out. You can do this in a couple of ways, okay? You could work straight from the pad, which I prefer personally not to do. You can make a palette out of this by squeezing it really hard and having some white ink transfer to the lid and work from there. But I personally prefer to do it on a block because it's a little bit less messy. So I'm going to grab a block for that purpose. I'm grabbing one that I just used in my class. My class only finished like half an hour ago. So I've still got stuff over there on the table, and that's why I keep on looking over there and thinking, oh my gosh, I got everything I need. It's all right. It's all good. All right, so I'm going to come into my ink here, and I'm literally going to get some white ink on my block, okay? And I'm going to use my blender pen, go straight into the white, pick up quite a bit of white, and I'm going to start coloring, okay? And I want to have, as you guys know, white ink is one of those things that it's fun to play with, but sometimes you need to go several layers in order to get the effect you want. Now, I've done a few different techniques, such as the whitewashing technique, which works better with an embossed image. But as you can see here, it's going to take a couple of layers for us to actually build up enough color for that to be very noticeable on the crumb cake. You can kind of see a little bit. Can you see a little bit? But I'm going to go and do a second one. So this is going to take a little while for us to get the effect that we want to get, but I think it's worth it. And crumb cake is a more porous, and so is like most of the colors, black included, is more porous than our very vanilla or basic white. Okay, the very vanilla and basic white feel thinner, even though they're the same weight of cardstock. They feel thinner because they've been more compressed, and that makes them ideal for stamping on because they end up very, very smooth. The surface is very compressed, so it's not as porous. Things like ink and water and other things don't sink into that surface as much. Can you see that kind of? It's starting to brighten up a little bit. All right. So you will probably go back to your ink pad several times in order to get the buildup of color that you want. And I'm probably not going to have time today to do all of this because it's going to take a while. But it is absolutely beautiful, and it's well worth the effort. So what I will do is I will be posting this. Once this is completed, I'm going to post this creation on my Instagram and Facebook pages. But it's very beautiful. You can also, once you've got your white base that you really like, you can also add some color, say with, can you see we've got a little bit of, it's starting to show up a little bit now. The white is showing up on the crumb cake. It does, I know. On craft colored or crumb cake colored cardstock, white looks fabulous. And the other one I love is whitewashing, which is where we use a water painter with white ink and we paint over the crumb cake surface. But because that one means that you're adding water, you want to start with an embossed image so that won't move or resist the water. So anyway, it's starting to build up. So do I want to do the whole thing? That is quite a dedication of time, and maybe not, but I think doing the focal things like the flowers and the almond seeds, that is probably a great idea. And then the rest of it I could just color as normal with my watercolor pencils and blender pens. But it is really, really, really nice. And it's when we get our white effect, And you can put, the thing is with this, doing it this way, you can put the white ink where you want it. All right, that is nice. Some of the other techniques, it's harder to get the white exactly where you want it, or your color exactly where you want it. The other thing is, if you wanted to, you could emboss over this, but you're going to lose some of your design detail if you do that. I'm trying to add a bit more color by using short strokes. Sometimes when you use longer strokes, you end up wiping some of it off at the same time as you're putting it down. Right. I hope you can kind of see how that's starting to come together. All right. It's very simple, but I really like the subtlety of it. No, you don't rinse them with water. You leave them exactly as they are. And I just, because you don't want to mess with the glycerin solution, that just stays in the pen. And I just, the white one, I just keep it for white all the time. Okay. Good point. Nicole is right. You can use white with blender pens on black cardstock to create an area to add colors that wouldn't show up. I've done that as well with the whitewashing technique. And I've also done that. It looks great on an embossing folder. So you can highlight areas of the embossing folder with white. That looks really, really good. So yeah, I don't rinse the pens at all. I just keep them as they are. The white one, I just keep it for white, and I always know that that's going to be a white pen. And then the other one, you know, once we've used it for a color, we roll it around until all the color is gone. And then it's ready to pick up a different color. So you can use them for multiple colors over and over again. And that's what I like about them. I think they're fantastic, very useful. They can be used over and over and over. Could you use a white re-inker on a block? Yes, you can, Leslie. Absolutely. So that is just as good. And, you know, like I do have a white re-inker right here. So, yeah, I could just drip that onto a block. And in fact, I'm just thinking if we did that, we might get a little bit more. Thank you for your suggestion. We might get a bit more of the color staining. Okay, let's see if we can. So by having a bit more on it like that, I'm wondering. And it's going to soak in a bit, but I'm thinking that might give us a better effect. So you can see I'm trying to avoid, look at that, that's a lot brighter. Thank you, Leslie. That was very helpful. What I'm trying to do is stay away from the inside the lines so you can still see the lines. It is going to soak into the paper a little bit and not be as white as what it was when I first put it down. But yeah, actually using the re-inker is probably a smart idea. But both will work for you. And see how this is getting lighter now as it soaks into the paper. So we've had a bit of a play with a few different ways to use your blender pens today. And I like them all. Do you have a favorite? What do you like? What do you think looks best? Now this is going to fade like as it soaks in because that paper is very porous. It does pop more with the re-inker, but it's going to not pop as much as it dries. So just bear that in mind. So you get all excited and think, oh, it's really dark. But see, this one's now got quite a bit lighter. So it's still better than it was, though, with just the ink pad. And I'm going to do this last one over here. I'm not going to worry about the leaves on this today. Maybe I will keep going with the leaves, but I just thought, you know, we'll be here for a long, long time if I color the leaves in as well. Whoops. Went outside the lines a bit there. Oh well, it's going to soak in, so I'm not too worried. And here we go. So what was the response? I haven't been looking at all the comments. I'm so sorry. I've been concentrating on colouring, and so I've missed a lot of comments, I think, today. Yeah, it is more concentrated. You are right. But yeah, it does fade, but it's still better than it was with just the ink pad. You love the white on craft? Yeah, I know. It looks good, doesn't it? Yes, he is actually giving himself a bit of a bath at the moment, Janine. So that's, oh, sorry, it was Glenda asking. That's why you can't hear him. You like the leaves not being white? Yeah, I think maybe I might make them green. I'm sort of tempted to do that, but I kind of like them as they are as well. So that's all right, Gina. Lovely to see you. I hope you enjoyed it today. Yes, more control definitely with blender pens than a lot of other media. So if you're using daubers, you don't have or blending brushes, you don't have nearly as much control as you do with blender pens. So if you like a lot of control when you're coloring, these might just be for you. I think they're fantastic. They're a really fantastic tool to have in your supply bag, and you can always go back to them again and again and again. I have tons of them, but you can make do with 3 for a really long time. So there we go. Have I missed any questions or anything that that anyone has asked and I missed it? Anybody have any questions for me before we say bye-bye? Watercolor pencils with the blender pen. You like that one first? Yep. So we did a few, didn't we? So we did these, and didn't they turn out pretty? So there's that. And then we've got the white ink. You can use any color ink for your image, and then color in with the white ink, so you don't need to worry about using a particular color of ink. I used Early Espresso, but you could use anything. I thought the Early Espresso brown on the crumb cake looked really good. And then the other one that we did, which is this little guy, was just with the inks straight out of an ink pad. So there we go. That's what we did today. That's okay. I brought them up because I've had a couple of people say you know, what are those? You know, what are those things? And I'm thinking, I thought everybody knew what blender pens were, but because we don't use them all the time, they tend to get forgotten. And so there you go. Could you pick up parts with an embossing folder? Yes, you could. Yep, definitely. That's okay, Kathleen. I need to get going as well, and I don't think you're going to miss very much at all. We're nearly up to our hour, so I wanted to say thank you so much for watching today. If you haven't subscribed, please do that, because that's how I get seen and found by more people. And I'm working very hard on getting myself to the 10,000 subscriber mark, and I'm not quite there, so everyone helps right now. All right, you guys, I'm going to switch back to my face for a second. It's a scary thought. And I'd like to wish you all well. If you guys have seen anything today that you thought, wow, that's cool, I'd like to have that, reach out to a demonstrator. If you don't have a demonstrator and you're in Australia, I'll have the link down below this video for my online store, and you can go there and to purchase any of the items you've seen me using. I hope that you have a fantastic afternoon, and the rest of your week goes great. And I will see you here again on Friday evening, Sydney time at 7:30. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.